Yo guys, and welcome back for part 6 of the beginner series of how to become a profitable trader starting from no prior knowledge. By now we've covered quite a lot, so I'm not going to list through what we've covered. We've covered a lot about time and price now, so I'm just looking to add more things in there to show you how the market's running up an algorithm. So yeah, let's move straight into it. So looking at the screen, this is another concept we have in ICT trading, which is when price consolidates. This is known as accumulating orders. So when you're consolidating, it's very difficult to trade that. So typically, I would not like to trade the accumulation phase, which is where your price goes back and forth. This is where, for example, your fair value gaps won't hold up, because this is called a balanced price range, because the candles are passing through and up, a balanced price range. Aside from that, we're not in that macro time. You also wouldn't consider entry, because if you are looking premium and discount, which we covered in the last video, you're at premium, so you're not looking for that long. Typically, you could potentially get in at this macro down here, which is between 1150 to 1210. We have a fair value gap that takes us up to the highs of Asia, so you could get in that macro. However, in this macro, I wouldn't have recommended it, as we get this consolidation. When you get 2 o'clock, however, where was it 150 to 10, we get that nice run up at that macro time. But we can anticipate this to be part of the AMD model, because we've got a strong amount of accumulation here. So after accumulation comes manipulation. At the macro time, we get the manipulation higher, and then at the next macro time, we get distribution lower. So you've got down here 150 to 210, then up here you've got 250, 310, fair value gap or inversion fair value gap entry to go short. Okay, targeting these lows at the other side, and we distribute a bit lower than that. Okay, and if you watched my previous video, you'd know how we can react off certain levels off the fib, which you should look at in regards to this. Okay, so let's try and find some more examples of this accumulation, manipulation, distribution. It's happening all the time in price. So let's have a look back. So here's a perfect example, and we get it in terms of this from here. So if I was to show you, can you spot it? Use the prior day, I'm just saying as well. Can you spot any, say this is accumulation, can you spot the manipulation? So then could you anticipate what's going to happen in Asia and Tokyo? So you've got to see manipulation similar to how you would see a liquidity sweep. Smooth zone, resistance, it's not. So it goes through, takes out the people who went short off the resistance at the new day open. So that's what manipulation. Then do you get when we start entering into the Asian kill zone, that distribution? So we've got very little manipulation here. Okay. In terms of I should probably have drawn the low of this as well. So yeah, manipulation, distribution, and then in terms of that, you're going to assume it's going to distribute lower. Not a proper liquidity sweep there, yeah. It's just got that wick again. It's not reached down to this low here, you see. So we can assume shorts when we get into Tokyo. Makes sense? In terms of the daily candle that we've been looking at the whole series so far, and I'm just trying to build on consistent knowledge. we've got it here. So twice here we have accumulation, manipulation, distribution. Actually, we've got another time here as well. I'll draw it. So 3 times within one day, you're having this model present itself. So if that's accumulation of orders, yeah, price shares the same range, which makes it accumulation. Price keeps crossing back and forth over each other, targeting this high from here, and then targeting this low from here, but this still counts as accumulation. So see if you can spot the manipulation, and then see if you can spot the distribution. It's quite big on this one. Manipulation. Go to all-time highs. And then what? Distribution. Taking out the lows. So be mindful of this concept, and it does help advance your trading because you can anticipate the manipulation and distributions so that you don't get caught up trying to hold positions too long. So for example, you know this could be manipulation, so you anticipate a macro time it could reverse. So yeah, you can still trade the manipulation higher. That's fine. That's me. You could also trade the distribution, where you can typically see the bigger of the move. So just try and be mindful of where you are in price, whether you're in an accumulation, manipulation, or distribution. You could spot them in here as well, but I'm not going to go into it too much. Like accumulation, price is sharing the same range. We're accumulating orders, so then we get manipulation, distribution. Again, a bit more harder one to spot, but the more you go through it, you can identify. You just need to get good at identifying consolidations. Again, this one isn't in as a tight of a range, so it's not as obvious to spot, but the one I've shown you before here is a very obvious one. Accumulation, manipulation, distribution, and again accumulation, manipulation, distribution, and then you're not trading the lunch sessions we spoke about, and then you're re-entering the distribution leg to go via either this macro here or this macro here to go up. Okay, does that make sense? So I think that's covered accumulation, manipulation, and distribution so far in under 10 minutes, so we're not doing too bad. Let's remove all the drawings now. What next did I want to tick up on my book of notes that I have of topics that I want to talk about? So the next one that I find is quite useful for specifically the New York Open session, which is opening range gaps. So you're not going to know what that is yet because I haven't talked about it. But an opening range gap, this is the time where we refer back to the first video where we looked at what the difference between extended trading hours, electronic trading hours are, and regular trading hours. So opening range gaps use regular trading hours. I have an indicator for this that I use. I'll go into it and show what it is. So regular trading hours is here between 9:30 is the opening price here. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see. So we're on regular trading hours. 4:15 close. Then the big banks start trading, so a lot of volatility kicks in at 9:30. Yeah. And this is what you would call the opening range gap from the close of the regular trading hours on the prior day at 4:15 to the open at 9:30. You can mark these candles out yourself, like the zone out yourself, but you can. I use this tool that does it for me. Let's see. See if the tool's working. Oh, here we go. So you go back to electronic trading hours and the tool appears. So if you're on regular trading hours and you see that gap, go back to electronic trading hours, and now look, you've got that same gap just with all the prior price movement. So the importance of the gap is it is very likely to come down to the middle of the gap. I back tested this myself. You can do it yourself as well. Go back for every day. By 10 o'clock, there's a 70% chance it will hit the middle of the gap at 10 o'clock. On this day, it doesn't happen. Yeah, we'll go back to other days to show it does happen. Because here, different context. So we're trading towards all-time highs. Just prior to that, we're not all-time highs. That's why it can't get that reversion back down. But that's why you've got to know a little bit about context of the day as well. But you see how it does want to fill this gap, yeah, later on in the day. And admittedly not by 10 o'clock on this day, but we fill that gap. So they're like magnets on price. So you want to keep them, and you can extend them throughout the day. And again, see how price can't reach the middle. At 12 o'clock, we get that run up, taking up the relative equal highs. Magic, yeah. We can't breach it. Then we get that inversion fair value gap. You think, wow. Again, you get strong reactions at these levels. So the body's just touching the top of it. Again, the body's just touching the upper. Okay, so here, you've took out the liquidity resting above these highs here. And then what? We trade lower, and we're looking at the gap here, for example, here, for example, here, and here. We can't reach the top. Now we can't reach the candlestick bodies can't reach the upper quadrant. Same here. Bodies can't pass the upper quadrant. Bodies now can't pass the consequent encroachment in the middle, and we trade lower through that gap. And then it's 2 o'clock, a bullish day, and then we get that reversal after we've took out a lot of liquidity. My main point is that 70% statistic. If you're trading, it can give you a bias for what's going to happen with price. So let's go to the previous day and see if we can show some examples of it happening relatively quickly. Okay, so what time is it here? Okay, so not far off, but oh, sorry, we passed through it here before 10 o'clock, so at 9:33. It's a very small gap, and we're not far, so we're not very far away from the middle of it here. So on this day, it can be more difficult to trade, but we talked about this entry here as an optimal trade entry. Can't reach back into the gap. So we're what? We're bullish. Let's go to the next day. I'm keeping the candlestick on 1 minute so we can see. Same thing happens here, all the way from up here, but we open at what? 9:30 with it. 70% of the time this happens where it hits the middle at least, and we trade lower. So they're like magnets on price. It's not a new concept this that specifically ICT invented, but he did invent the idea that the gaps can be reused again later in the day. Like, say for example here, just touches the upper. Yeah. Upper quadrant, can't get down to consequent encroachment, trade high, so you can reuse them throughout the day, which I want you to adapt into your trading as well. So here we trade lower, then by 10 o'clock we reach in the middle of that gap. Okay. So it happens most of the times we've gone through. So I'm saying this. I'm not lying when I say 70%. I back tested it. ICT said 70%. When I back tested it, it was like 68%. Yeah. So, and again, I'm presuming if I kept going a bit back, it would have been bang on 70, knowing ICT and how precise the guy is. But knowing here at 9:30 that price is going to hit this by 10 o'clock, are you going to enter a short there? You're not, are you? You're going to think the price could come down to manipulate people to go higher. So what you have in terms of what we talked about earlier on, I'm not going to draw the lines, but you've got accumulation, manipulation, and distribution. And what the Judas swing is when price comes opposite to the direction you think it's going to go. Here, yeah, and then trades up in your direction. So if your bias is bullish on the day and it trades lower, you're thinking we're trapping in the short salads. Yeah, to go higher and target with the relative equal highs. Then we run all the way up. I presume there'll be a higher target that we could have targeted over here, you see. Okay, I hope that makes sense. What are we on into this video? 16 minutes, 25 seconds. That should do us for this video. I'll probably refer back to this concept. But I'm also going to talk about the weekly profile, new day opening gaps, new week opening gaps coming up. And we've got SMT divergence, the Venom model, lots of different factors that we're going to talk about. So yes, stay tuned, keep watching, and if you enjoy this, please pop me a like or please pop me a subscribe button, because it really helps me stay motivated for making these videos, especially as a new channel. So yeah, I hope you can appreciate that, guys. Thanks a lot, and goodbye. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and you'll stay tuned for part 7, because I'll make it that day as well. Peace out.